Welcome to my channel, Bright English. Hello everyone. Today I want to share something with you. When we talk about learning English, most people think about speaking and listening. They want to speak fluently. They want to sound confident. They want to have conversations without fear. And that is true. Those things are important. But one of the most powerful, most effective, and most life-changing ways to master English is reading. Yes, reading. Reading is not only about books. It is about opening a door to a new world. It is about seeing life from new eyes. It is about growing your vocabulary, your imagination, and your confidence step by step. Think about this for a moment. The entire knowledge of the world, everything great minds have ever thought, is written somewhere in English. The great scientists, the best authors, the most powerful leaders, they all left their ideas in books, articles, journals, and stories. If you can read English, you can access all of that knowledge directly. You do not need a translation. You do not need someone to explain it. You can take the wisdom directly into your own mind. That is why reading English is not just a skill. It is a superpower. Now maybe you are thinking, reading sounds boring. You remember your school days, when the teacher forced you to read a textbook. It felt heavy. It felt like a punishment. But real reading is not like that. Real reading is freedom. Imagine holding a book that takes you to another country, another time, another life. Imagine reading a story that makes you laugh, that makes you cry, that makes you feel as if you are living a second life. That is the magic of reading. When you read in English, you are not only learning the language, you are living inside the language. Think about your brain for a moment. When you listen to English, your brain works. When you speak, your brain works even more. But when you read, your brain is fully active. Every word you see, every sentence you read, your brain is making pictures. Your brain is connecting ideas. Your brain is building memory. That is why reading develops not only your English, but also your intelligence. Reading makes you sharper, more focused, and more creative. Let me give you an example. A person who never reads may live only one life. But a person who reads lives 1,000 lives. Why? Because every book they read, every story they enter, is another life they experience. You can read about a king. You can read about a scientist. You can read about a traveler. You can read about a fighter. Through reading, you experience their challenges, their victories, their emotions, their decisions. And while doing this, you also improve your English naturally. You do not need to memorize vocabulary lists. You do not need to struggle with grammar books. If you read regularly, your vocabulary grows naturally. Your grammar improves naturally. You start seeing how words are used, how sentences are built, how ideas are connected, slowly. Without effort, your English starts to sound natural and powerful. Now let's think about real-life benefits. Imagine you are applying for a job. The interviewer gives you a paper with instructions in English. If you are not comfortable with reading, you feel nervous, you feel lost. But if you are used to reading English every day, you feel calm, you understand quickly, you answer with confidence. That one skill of reading can decide your career. Imagine you want to study abroad. Universities in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in Canada, in Australia, they all give you long texts, essays, books, and research papers in English. If you do not read well, you cannot survive. But if you already built a reading habit, you not only survive, you succeed. You become one of the best students because you can understand information faster and better than others. Now let's move deeper. Reading is not just for exams or jobs. Reading builds your character. When you read biographies of great leaders, you feel inspired. When you read stories of ordinary people overcoming difficulties, you feel motivated. Reading shows you that life is bigger than your own small world. Reading gives you wisdom without pain. You can learn lessons from other people's mistakes without suffering them yourself. And here is another truth. When you read English books, you also improve your writing. Why? Because your brain starts copying the style, the rhythm, the tone of what you read. Without even trying, you start writing better, and when your writing improves, your overall communication improves. When you begin to read in English, something magical starts to happen inside you. At first, you struggle. You see a word and you don't know the meaning. You feel tired. You feel slow. But if you continue, after 1 week you begin to recognize patterns. After 1 month, your eyes start to move faster on the page. After 3 months, you begin to enjoy the rhythm of the language. Reading becomes like music, a flow of words entering your mind. The first stage is always difficult, but the reward is huge. Think about this. When you read English daily, your vocabulary multiplies without memorizing. You do not need flashcards. You do not need boring lists. You just read, and suddenly, you know words like discover, inspire, challenge, overcome. They become your friends. And reading does something even more powerful. It trains your focus. In a world full of distractions, where your phone is always ringing, where social media never stops, reading is the only activity that makes your mind calm and concentrated. Every time you sit with a book, you are telling your brain, focus on one thing. Stay here. Stay now. This ability, my friend, is rare, and this ability will give you success in every part of your life. Think about relationships. When you read stories about people, you begin to understand human emotions better. You learn empathy. You learn how to put yourself in someone else's shoes. When you understand people, you build better relationships. Reading makes you not only smarter, but also kinder. Now let's talk about your career. Imagine two candidates in an interview. Both can speak English, but one of them has the habit of reading. That person uses better words, better examples, speaks with confidence, and has ideas to share. Who will get the job? The reader, always, because readers are leaders. In academics, the difference is even bigger. A student who reads English every day can write essays more easily. They can understand textbooks faster. They can answer questions with clarity. Professors love such students because they are not just repeating information. They are thinking deeply. And where does that deep thinking come from? From reading. If you want to study abroad, remember this. Universities will not just test your speaking. They will test your reading. Long essays, long research papers, long exams. If you don't read, you cannot survive. But if you do, you will shine. Let me tell you a small story. There was a boy who hated English. He could not speak. He could not write. He was always afraid. One day, a teacher gave him a simple English book. He forced himself to read one page every day. At first, it was slow. After a few weeks, it became easier. After 6 months, he finished 5 books. Suddenly, his friends noticed he was speaking better. His sentences were natural. His words were strong. His confidence was high. What changed? Not grammar practice, not memorizing words, just reading every day. History is full of such examples. Mahatma Gandhi, when he was in prison, read hundreds of books. Those books shaped his philosophy, his ideas, his strategy. Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents of the United States, was a self-taught man. He read books every night, by candlelight, and that reading gave him the power to speak and lead. So when you say, "Why must I read English?" the answer is simple. Because every great person in history was a reader. But sometimes your mind will try to stop you. You will say, "Reading is boring. Reading is difficult. I don't have time." This is your weakness speaking. This is your comfort zone speaking, and you must fight it. Tell yourself, even if I read 1 page, I am improving. Even if I read for 10 minutes, I am better than yesterday. Never underestimate the small steps. Small steps every day create a big transformation. Reading is like planting seeds. Today, you plant 1 seed. Tomorrow, another. After weeks, you see nothing. But after months, suddenly a garden is growing inside your mind. That is the power of consistency. Choose easy books first. Don't start with Shakespeare. Don't start with complex novels. Start with simple stories, children's books, graded readers, short stories. They are easy, they are fun, and they build your foundation. When you read, don't stop for every unknown word. Guess the meaning, feel the sentence, and continue. Later, check the dictionary if you want, but don't break your flow. Read out loud sometimes. When you read aloud, you train your tongue, your mouth, your pronunciation. Reading out loud is like 2-in-1 practice. You improve reading and speaking at the same time. Make it a habit. Fix a time every day. Morning, before bed, during lunch, doesn't matter. Make it non-negotiable. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, whatever you can do. But every day. No excuses. Now I want you to imagine yourself in the future. 6 months from now. You have been reading every day. You feel different. Your English is stronger. Your thoughts are clearer. Your confidence is higher. People notice the change. They ask, "How did you become so good at English?" And you smile, because you know the secret. The secret was simple. Reading. Repeat this vision to yourself. Visualize it, because what you imagine becomes your reality. Reading is not just about English. It is about building a new identity. The identity of a confident, educated, successful person. So, my dear friend, never ignore reading. If you want to fly in your career, if you want to shine in your studies, if you want to grow as a human being, you must read. Read every day, read with passion, read with curiosity. Books are waiting for you. Knowledge is waiting for you. A new life is waiting for you. All you have to do is open a page, take a deep breath, and begin. When you start reading in English, you are not only collecting words, you are building a new way of thinking. Every book you read adds a new layer to your mind. You begin to see the world differently. When you read about science, you start to think logically. When you read about history, you start to see patterns in society. When you read about human stories, you start to understand emotions better. Slowly, you become a complete person. Many people think reading is only for students, only for exams, only for people who want degrees. But this is a mistake. Reading is for life. Even after school ends, even after college ends, even when you have a job, reading continues to give you power. Think of successful people in business, in leadership, in art. Almost all of them have one habit in common. They read every single day. They may be busy, but they make time to read because they know reading keeps their mind sharp. When you don't read, your mind becomes weak. You start to repeat the same ideas every day. Your thoughts become limited. You live in a small box. But when you read, that box breaks. Suddenly you realize the world is bigger. Opportunities are bigger. Life is bigger. Reading gives you freedom. It frees you from ignorance, from narrow thinking, from fear. And this freedom is double when you read in English, because English is not just a language. It is a global key. It opens doors everywhere. The best research, the best novels, the best information is mostly in English. By reading in English, you are directly connecting to the entire world. You are not limited to your city, your country, your language. You are global. You can sit in your room, open a book, and travel to New York, to London, to Tokyo, to Africa, to the future, to the past. That is the magic. But let me be honest, reading is not easy in the beginning. Your eyes get tired. Your mind feels heavy. Sometimes you feel bored. That is normal. Think about going to the gym. The first day, your body hurts. The second day, you feel pain. But after 1 month, you feel strong. The same is true with reading. In the beginning, it feels difficult. But if you continue, soon it becomes enjoyable. One day you realize you are lost in the story. You are laughing with the characters. You are crying with them, and hours pass without you noticing. That is when reading becomes a habit. And remember, habits create destiny. The person who reads every day will have a very different future compared to the person who never reads. The reader will think better, speak better, decide better, and live better. Reading is the foundation of success. Without it, success is weak. With it, success becomes strong. If you are still unsure, ask yourself this. Why do the most successful people in the world read? Warren Buffett reads hundreds of pages every day. Bill Gates carries books everywhere. Elon Musk says he learned rocket science by reading books. These people had money, they had power, but still they read. Why? Because reading never stops giving. The more you read, the more you grow. I hope you will learn better from this video. Thanks for watching, my students.